Hello everybody. Talking today about a very important topic that is ourselves and our true identity, our true knowledge of who we are. David Fastiggi wrote a book called Your True Identity. I'll talk more about his book in a little bit, but just a little comparison too with some of Analee's writings. So one very important thing about your true identity that David Fastiggi mentions in his book is that we must tell the truth about ourselves to ourselves. And so that's one of the start out topics in his book. And because it's so important to be basically in touch with reality, in touch with who we really are, because that is really the start of everything. We must reach that level where we know where we truly are, and not just have a fictitious idea of ourselves. So mainly once we get a grip of the true self, our potential, but also the reality of what we have become so far, to know what point to start from. And so Analee Skarin mentions the dangers even of people that are actors and actresses, and how they can become somebody that, depending on the role that you're playing, you can actually start acting as that person that sometimes is not the greatest type of being. It could be a murderer or a thief, or someone with not so a quality not so good, some qualities not so special and nice. So the danger of it, it's a real danger for people that have that type of profession. But then she says here a very good paragraph that I like. Unless you think good with lots of love and concentrated power behind it, you are still not the great dynamic person you were intended to be. So it's important that we know what type of person we want to be. If we want to be a person that is full of love, then we must have a lot of power behind that love, and so really feel it and really live it, make it a reality, for us. So then a little bit later in her book called The Temple of God, she says that watch those little acts and you will begin to mold yourself into something and someone quite superior to the ordinary, a slothful person who is living just because he is alive. As you begin to check the caliber of your thoughts and acts, you will come face to face with yourself for the first time, perhaps. You will see yourself for what you have made yourself into by thoughtlessness. However, the person you are does not concern me. I am only interested in the person you were meant to be. I like that part because it's very positive, and it's like saying leave your past behind and start over. And that's what she's interested on, on the new us, the new you. And so it is the person you were meant to be whom I'm also anxious for you to meet. And when you meet that person, there will need be no pretense, no sham of make believe, for you will know the truth and you will realize that you are that truth. In speaking of this real you, we are not talking about your position, your possession, your wealth, or of your learning and worldly knowledge, nor even of what men think of you. These are not the true standards for measuring the man. These outer things are only a veil. They are not you, nor are you them. They have nothing to do with you, really. They may be your stage props as you play a part that is not you at all. Like when some people say, "Oh, what's your profession? Oh, what did you graduate at? Or which college did you go to? Or did you graduate from some college? Or where do you live?" All those questions that people are trying to measure you up by, they're really not the right way of measuring people. They're not exactly. And it says here, sometimes a street cleaner is a king at heart, and a king may be an inferior submortal in his bestial habits and desires. So true. No matter what part you play in life, it is only the real you that we are, the real you that we, or eternity, is really concerned with. And it is the real you that should be your own greatest concern. So, my beautiful friend, come forth and let us meet you, the real you. Are you proud of yourself because of your wisdom, your talents, abilities, or possessions? If you are, then you are only proud of the part you are playing to impress a world. True greatness is never proud. It is always infinitely humble. Humility is one of the very first requisites of greatness. Are you ashamed? Ashamed of the groveling part you are playing? Do you have an inferiority complex and hate yourself? Dear one, this is also a false attitude and as detrimental to the real, glorious you as the other. However, if you have been playing a part so desperately you have deceived yourself, then you are enacting the greatest tragedy of all, though you may not have realized it. And you are that tragedy, and that tragedy is you. You have to live with yourself forever, and it isn't a pleasant thing to condemn yourself. And here comes another interesting part. Sorry, changing page. Anyways, this is Analee Skarin. I really like her writings. It really changed my life. So did David Fastiggi's writings and teachings. So here it says, to the eternal companionship of an inferior being. One prophet said, part of the punishment of hell is having to associate forever with the wicked. It will be yourself you will be associating with. You may be sure of that, and you make the selection yourself. Is it your wish to associate forever with an inferior person, one filled with hate, a sneak or cheat, a coward, a scandalmonger, a braggart, a sex pervert, a criminal, or perhaps a thief who steals another's wealth, or mayhap only the credit for his ideas, which is the lowest type of thievery? Or would you prefer the company of a king, a saint, a being superb, majestic, and gifted with divine love? An immortal who is not only master over every situation, but himself as well? The choice is always yours. You alone can predesign or predestine what you will be. God never predestinated any child of his to any particular fate. Into your hands is given the power to make any pattern or design you can conceive for yourself and to fulfill it. You are created of ineffable powers held within your grasp. You are divine, and there is enough light contained within you that if all the lights in the universe went out, you could rekindle the sun and the moon and the stars. It is to the revelation of these inner powers I would lead you, that you might become beautifully glorious as the Son of Light you were intended to be. Beautiful, huh? My soul loves your soul, else I would not linger here to make that pattern known. You are as myself, and all the love within my being is reaching out to enfold you, no matter who or what you are. I would recall you from the path of death and upon to your soul the higher way of life, and give you wings to travel it in ease and majesty. This record is not written to give you a way of escape from yourself. You can never get away from yourself. Many have tried and failed. No matter what method of escape one uses to get away from himself, whether it be parties, drinking, incessant association with noisy crowds, the movies, card games, television, novellas, or even drugs, or what have you, he will always have to come back to himself. Then there are those who only find true peace and quiet and strength and renewal when they are alone with themselves. These are those who are near to keeping company with divinity, and angels attend them. Dear one, it is always you who select the kind of company you keep, good or bad. And it always will be yourself you will be walking with. Form any ideal you can dream of for yourself and live true to it, and it will become you. Your ideal is you from the very beginning of your awakened desire to actually be what you have sometimes pretended you are. It is as you desire to actually be the person you wish you were, and begin to put forth that required effort needed to create that divine, glorious person you were intended to be, that brings it forth. It will come forth in time, as perfect and beautiful and divinely pure as you can possibly imagine it to be. This love-filled, gracious, wonderful person, is you, as you associate with it mentally, inviting it to take form. It will come forth as you live true to your ideal of it, for it is the real you. You were meant to be that. This great person I am seeking to show you is not the one who would feel the light the lightest, the highest position on the earth, nor any particular position for that matter. If you are seeing yourself holding some such high office, then you are seeing only your little mortal ego self exalted. And if that is your greatest desire, even that can be brought forth, but it will be an inferior person, not the real you. Any position, any ambition for worldly greatness is small change indeed when compared to the magnificent treasures held within your own soul, if you will but comprehend them. These are the powers beyond any worldly anointing or appointment, any exalted position or office, which are but the stage props, the outer trapping, and do not have too much meaning. It is only the great glorified you as you become clothed in light and filled with power and goodness and love that we are trying to reveal to you. In fact, that's the name of Jesus, is the translation of this paragraph. Jesus is, the explanation of his name is that he is powerful when filled with light. So we'll talk more about his name later, but she's describing us as well. When we take his name, we become filled with light, just like Jesus. And your thoughts are the real you. They are you expressing. As you think, so you are. Or as you change your thinking, so will you become. If your thoughts are hate-filled, then you are a hateful person, for they are you. If your thoughts are evil, vile, groveling, craving thoughts of fear or lust, or of darkness, they are but yourself expressing you, the you have brought forth with your divine powers of creating, misused. If your thoughts are noble, compassionate, love-filled, they are also you, and you will not only be like them, you will become them. Always your thoughts are you expressing yourself. They are the projection of what you have built into yourself as it is thrown out upon the screen of eternity. Wow, that's beautiful. I like that. So this last paragraph is really beautiful. It says they are the projection of what you have built into yourself as it is thrown out upon the screen of eternity. Beautiful, huh? I like her words. What sort of person are you? I do not need to know, but you must. You must see clearly what you are, else I cannot reveal to you the great person you were meant to be, nor help you to become that. Watch your thinking and your feeling habits, and you will begin to know yourself. Watch especially your thoughts concerning your fellow man. How do you feel about the people who crowd against you in the marketplaces, in buses, along the streets, in busy thoroughfares? What do you think of those in your community, neighborhood, church? Are they but pawns to the exploited? Are they miserable nuisances? Do you feel superior or inferior to them? And why? Do you love them as you love yourself? If not, are you willing to try, you may find a jewel of glory buried in every man's heart, and you may learn to share your jewels with them, and your supply will increase. You are what you think of your fellow man. Man is not what he thinks he is. He is only what he thinks. Know this, gracious one, it is always within one's power to change himself by changing his way of thinking and the caliber of his thoughts. So it is that you can change yourself. This is but your divine gift of creatorship. Being used correctly and with infinite power. Think only the most beautiful things possible, and you will become as divinely beautiful as your thoughts. Formulate the thoughts of goodness and majesty and perfection, and watch yourself grow into that ideal. From the first moment you desire to be the great, noble individual God created you to be, from that moment the transformation begins, and all the powers of the universe will stand beside you to help bring it forth. Step aside to it in thought, word, and deed. Step aside and watch yourself grow into it as you live true to it in thought, word, and deed. For this divine one is the real you. It is the you God created. It is the you you were intended to be and can be. I like that. It's also marked as one of my favorite paragraphs. In every human soul is a longing, a loneliness, a wistfulness that few have ever tried to analyze or comprehend. Yet, at times, the inner longing has become a sobbing cry of inner pain and searing desolation of almost unendurable anguish. Some have translated this cry as a desire for wealth, position, knowledge, or sought some other worldly answer. And when such goals are reached, they are still empty and unsatisfying. Most of the wasted energy of this world has been a desperate effort to silence that soul hunger, or at least to deaden or escape it. If but half the effort had been used to understand this inner call of the soul for recognition, instead of trying to silence it, the world long ago would have reached its glorified destiny. Men would be walking the earth not as dissipated human derelicts, lost and alone, but as glorified masters with powers undreamed of by the present race of man. If you will come with me, my noble, gracious friend, we will begin this great and exciting search for that divine and wonderful you. Thank you for listening. And this is The Temple of God by Analee Skarin. And it's chapter 1, You. See you.